New Jeans Hanni worshipped by creepy bunny uncles. And if I'm correct, this title is referring to the National Assembly hearing situation. And the bunny uncle, the creepy bunny uncles, are the people that make the decisions at the assembly. So we are going to try to reach the 25 mark, like the half of the video, and as I've said, it's going to be a two-part, so let's get started.
A creepy vibe? I agree with you. At the National Assembly hearing where New Jeans Hanni, one of the members, came in to testify, and all of those politicians, it looks like it wasn't the first time they had met or talked. And she needs her real mommy and daddy, because you can call Minnie Jin mama all you want. She ain't your real mom. And you can call all those men who were in the hearing room, outside the hearing room, giving gestures of support. You can call them your uncle all you want, but they ain't your real uncle. So it looks like New Jeans Hanni is the latest Stockholm sacrifice to be coming out of Mama New Jeans' pantry. And this time, she went to a hearing where the other testimonies were about egregious workplace labor violations that led to death for unsafe labor practices. And here Hanni is trying to be guided and to squeeze her incident of so-called workplace bullying where there is absolutely no evidence of, and even if it were the incident of workplace bullying, is how she interprets the Korean words of ignore her, 무시해. However, as I've gone through in some previous videos, I think she may even be misinterpreting those words, because as we saw from the National Assembly hearing, her Korean ain't all that great.
정말 죄송한데 저 이해 못했어요. 죄송.
When she speaks it, it sounds very good, but she doesn't have a huge vocabulary yet in Korean, and many people don't when you're studying. That's fine. However, to basically be using that sort of language interpretation as your basis for a very serious attack on a conglomerate in Korea, you better know what's going on.
Once again,
and the more I thought about it, her case, even if it were true that a manager said 무시해, that could also be interpreted as not her, just let it go. We've went over this before, but now I'm thinking, if this were true, I would think that most likely this is more of a case of let it go, just let it go. The manager telling the eyelet people, let it go. That is a much more accurate interpretation of that phrase in that context. We're going to go through the specifics of what happened, why it happened on paper, and what was underneath. But really, I think there was a very interesting dynamic being exposed here. Not only did it expose the level of hypocrisy and the circus atmosphere over at the National Assembly, yes, Korea's version of the US Congress. This girl went to sell her cookies to bunny uncles. And I think what it also did was give this Very
sounds
glaring
so
example
bad.
if you knew what you were looking for, but very hidden example if you didn't know what you were looking for into the sexual politics of Korea. An example of what it really looks like when you're straining in the moment to navigate discrimination about being a woman. What does it look like when the woman is still fighting or juggling in that atmosphere while she's still being attacked? I bring this up because there is a very strong thread line of womanhood here. There's an unspoken female politics going here, not only between male attacking female, female deciding how to best navigate that situation, but even female again.
Now, wait a minute. What is that? Oh, wait. I make myself smaller. You don't have to see that man's face. I don't think so. What is this? Oh, sorry, this. Like, probably you can't see what I'm pointing at, but at the man's laptop, the bunnies, like, hello, they're not even trying to hide the fact that I mean, they just blatantly out here and doing this in a quote unquote important day. Like, I don't know much about this assembly hearing, but just this snippet, it tells me that they didn't took this seriously at all. I mean, in terms of seriousness, that if there was a workplace bullying, then you should take that seriously, and more than like this behavior is so literally creepy. Like, this is a really really good word for this whole situation, in my opinion. So, and if I'm not mistaken, the woman the one we can see in the screen is the current CEO of Adore. And I can even imagine what she's going through right now, and what her headspace was in the assembly hearing, because like she gone into this battle with no help, like no backup, because I think she knew as well, like everyone is going to be partying with the girls, and this is the evidence. Like, the assemblyman literally has bunnies on his monitor, like his laptop. So
Deciding how to best navigate that situation, but even female against female, and also the very clear delineation of, if we just simplified it, good way versus bad way to deal with it. And I bet you know who's who. I'm only going to be the caretaker of this conversation. So, women, please take the baton in the comments. But I will speak up and say, ladies, yes, what you see from the men is exactly what it looks like. So, if you looked at only the transcript and heard the sound of the testimony of the newly installed CEO, Kim Joo-young, and I'm going to call her CEO K, because, okay, Honey even got her name wrong. Honey called the
Oh wow.
CEO Lee Ju-young and had to be corrected by the assembly members. So
Oh,
total disrespect. So I'm gonna call her CEO K, okay? So if you had just listened, especially if you listened to her and didn't have a close up of her face, because her face was reading everybody in the room, but everything else signaled, if you didn't know what you're looking for, you would think that she was, why is she being so weak? Why is she being so passive? Why is she not standing up for herself? And the reason why I wanted to bring this situation of being a woman and how that is so central to this is that it explains how the CEOK strategy actually in this context was very skillful, very strong, but
very
while
demure.
acknowledging why she had to choose this route, because a man would never choose this tool. Even if he were more soft spoken or whatnot, his style would, if let's say his style is more that way, he still wouldn't choose this very complex way of fighting back and holding your position. So that's what I wanted to emphasize, is that there are techniques that it's obvious here that women have to use in this dog eat dog world to survive and to win. But from an outsider's perspective, you'd think like, oh, well, she's not doing much. Like, why is she not defending Hybe even? It looks like, I don't, what the heck is she doing? But thank goodness she don't have a poker face, because her face is saying everything. And you can see even from the men in the audience, they understood what game she was playing. They acknowledged it. And I think a lot of them were thinking like she's doing this game pretty well. And certainly the lawmakers whom she foiled definitely acknowledged but were pissed that they were being outmaneuvered. And so, from especially an American perspective, it looks like, what the heck was she doing? And, if Honey wasn't so blatantly just vulgar in her histrionics, then you might think like, okay, well, isn't Honey doing the strong position, and why is the CEO not doing enough? But it was
I maybe I can process this information uh, in terms of understanding of this strategy by the CEO, because if Honey is so vulgar and she's putting everything on the line, basically, right? Like she's saying like, I'm going to tell you everything, even something that is not even true, maybe. Like, I'm going to try everything at this point. Like, if I'm here in the assembly, I can barely speak Korean, and even less of understanding of other Koreans of Honey has right now. So um, then the CEO, as a older and more mature woman who is in a leading position as of right now, she, I mean, she in the law, in the eyes of the law, she has the upper hand already. Like she she more than likely to win in this situation if she is more calmer than Honey, and she can present herself really collected and more reserved than Honey, even if the lawmakers and the assemblymen are taking Honey's side. Like, even if they are the creepy bunny uncles and stuff like that, like the and and bear in mind, like, we're talking about women, it's like two women who is standing in front of a lot of older and creepy men. So in the long run, the CEO is playing a really good game, as Solar TV is saying as well. So maybe, yes. Please play the video. Come on. Yeah.
Actually, quite the opposite. Before these politicians at the National Assembly, no less, inside the National Assembly, go criticizing what happens in Hive's hallways, they better check their hallways first.
Wow.
They think that one little off comment that was not audible, no evidence of, totally denied by everybody except Hanni. Hanni's the only person who's saying this happened. They're thinking that off-color comment is worthy of being included in such a grave and serious National Assembly hearing when they can't even check their own hallways.
국민의힘 의원과 진성준 더불어민주당 의원 간의 거친 고성이 오가는 모습이 포착됐습니다.
And this is not even the this is in
Look,
the
there's
room.
the expression of throwing stones while you live in a glass house, but look at this situation where you're criticizing behavior in somebody else's hallway, but your hallways is jammed up with sledgehammers, axes, crowbars.
Oh my god, literally? What is this place?
Check yourself first. So I want to always remind you guys of the hypocrisy that we're dealing with. This is business as usual, actually, at the National Assembly. They haven't even been able to fix the culture of bullying, even outright hand-to-hand combat at work. And they have the audacity to then excoriate Hybe in a public setting over claims that have no evidence. So the Korean netizens are saying this has devolved into just a taxpayer-funded fan meeting for the UNCLES. Yes, we're about to take a trip on the road to Cookie County. For New Jeans, we already have the roadmap from their song, Cookie, that we know that their cookies ain't for free, and they not responsible for any cavities if you eat these cookies. Remember they said it was all about listening to CD mixtapes.
I remember.
What about an ear infection? Why are they talking about a cavity? But really what they're talking about, they're not going to be responsible for the fallout. They're not going to be responsible for the consequences. And I think for these bunny uncles, they're going to find out very soon the hard way that they're the ones that are going to be stuck with the cavities of going along with this whole cookie business. I wanted to find a way to exemplify the different paths to Cookie County and what I mean by this without overstepping my boundaries. And I wanted to show you this video
Very demure,
that
very
I found
mindful.
while I was doing the whole Gucci research for Jin's Gucci ambassadorship, and also Hanni is a brand ambassador for Gucci, so this sort of is still in the same wheelhouse.
By the way, I seen that video by Solar TV about the Gucci event and Jin and stuff like that. I actually made a video about it, but I was like, so I deleted it. I pretty much have the same mindset as JK in this case. He's deleting his music, I'm deleting my videos. Simple as that, and I don't have backup, so very mindful, very demure. Actually, quite the opposite, but whatever.
House, but I had no idea that there was a Mugler walk. Mugler is also a high-end fashion designer. And so each fashion house will instruct their models to walk a certain way that exemplifies the brand. And apparently the Mugler brand is exemplified by giving top class cookie. Take a look.
This is a regular walk. This is a Mugler walk. You gotta serve, I mean, top 10, top tiers, top level puss.
Now, I am aware that this word is
Honestly, these walks look so scary. Like if I've seen someone walking like this, I would walk the other way, that's for sure.
one of the worst words in
Maybe
the
calling the
English
police as well.
language, and it is extremely loaded. The reason why I also wanted to bring it up is because the Korean equivalent of this word is a word that Mini Jin uses on a very regular basis, a very crass basis.
That's because I'm well aware of the word that he's referring to, the C word, the 4-letter C word. Yes, she's using it because, as he said, her doctor is requested or said that she doesn't have any hobby and stuff like that, so she should curse more, even in public, even in a press conference. Like, who cares? As long as her mental state is stable, which was never the case, but well, oh, come
We
on.
have evidence of her using it, and even using it against the female employee that brought up the workplace bullying and sexual harassment allegations that she covered up, that she ignored, and that she actively resisted and bullied the accuser with this word. So in Korean, and because I know a lot of you are a non-Korean audience, it won't sound as bad. So like if you said the see you next Tuesday word to Korean people, it wouldn't register the same way because you just didn't grow up with it. You don't have the emotions tied to it. If I said the word that Mini Jin says a lot to a Korean crowd, they would be, whoa, oh, that's pretty crass. That's vulgar. But to you guys, it's probably okay. And that word is shang.
In my language, the see you next Thursday word is, it can translate into 2 words, not just one. And those 2 words are in my language as well, is not pretty words. Like, you use that to really, really, really insult a woman, and whatever the context is, like, it doesn't matter. So, and we usually pairing up one of the words that we use in this context with, in order to insult someone's mother. So, and this is one of the most popular Hungarian curse words, in my opinion. Like in overseas as well, everybody, most of the people that was in Hungary, at some point in their lives, they heard it. I am 100% sure. I even seen late night shows where the guest was an actor, I think so, and they shoot a movie here in Hungary, and and the few words that the actor is learned, it was curse words in Hungarian, and it was hilarious for me, of course, but yeah, we should put into our heritage the vast um, types of the large amount of curse words that the Hungarian language is using, because we have a lot of curse words, more than maybe 60-70% of the whole world, the planet, that are using curse words. So our language is in this field is really really um, vast, and we have a lot of flavors in curse words. Main Hiji maybe
Yeon,
should
쌍년.
come
So
here,
sometimes they say 쌍년,
but
xiang년,
I am not
depending on
encouraging
where
her.
you're
Like,
at. And you can kind of
stay
see
away.
that it has that same feeling of the see you next Tuesday word, and that it is loaded in misogyny and using the power of male against the female in terms of disempowering them. The word itself is relatively innocent. It comes from the word of sang, of just being ordinary. So this is a word that the aristocratic class before democracy would use in that very hierarchical, patriarchal structure to just call, like, oh, you're just a common woman. And then it became
Actually, our word to, which is equivalent with the Korean meaning, is kind of the same if we break it down. Like a everyday type of woman, nothing interesting about her, nothing intriguing. Mm, I don't know if I should say the word. I don't want to say the word. Maybe I can put it in the comments if everyone intrigued by the Hungarian curse words. But yeah, I found it quite interesting that a lot of words in Korean are more it's more easily translated into Hungarian than English. I found that a lot of times in translated movies and K dramas and stuff like that, when I'm watching it with Hungarian translation, that it's way much better than the English translations most of the times. So I mean, we have a Asian heritage in Hungary, so I'm not surprised, but still. Maybe I should talk every time I'm trying to start the video, because I don't know what is happening. It's not even the
a
fullest
lot
resolution.
more derogatory. Oh, you common woman, like whatever kind of connotations that has. And you can definitely feel it in the way that it evolved, where in the dictionary it's not necessarily sang or shang, but still sang. and, and so that is a word that Mini Jin used a lot. And that is a word that I would say is the equivalent of see you next Tuesday in English. And I think in a practical sense, we saw the Mugler walk with the CEO walking into the court, and we saw the Mugler walk with Hanni walking into the court. But it's a different way of utilizing, I believe, the cookie, because there is no way to separate how they were treated and how this is being manipulated without the cookie. There is a horrible sense of gender wrapped up into this fight that not Hybe is doing, that Mini Jin is doing. And if you've noticed from a lot of the rabid, toxic fandom of New Jeans, the bunnies, the ones who are actually female seem to have a very conflicted identity with that aspect of how what there's a bit of a devaluation of it looks like their cookie, and the men who are in the New Jeans fandom who are toxic seem to be like these creepy men who take advantage of girls who have issues with valuing themselves. And so that I think has been the loudest toxic subset of the bunnies, because a lot of the strange hate messages coming my way from the bunnies, 95% of them were sexually charged. It's very odd. So the reason why I say you can't ignore the cookie.
How exactly sexually charged? Like the comments are referring to the members as like Solar TV is drugging them solely because they are women, like, or if he's saying something negative about the CEO or Minhee is because of their gender, or what's the sexually charged comments? Maybe I should read some comments. Yeah, I will do it off camera.
Whether you are using the cookie properly or abusing the cookie, it's in this situation because the men hold the power and are viewing you through the lens of the cookie and allowing, and that changes how you are allowed to operate. Where's the green light? Where's the red light? And how you swerve around those roadblocks. A lot of it is charged with.
And honestly, Hanni's face expressions is not telling that I was bullied in my workplace or I was mistreated by my workplace employees, like, or by my boss or something like that. Like, it's screaming, oh, I'm just a child, I'm just a girl, please listen to me, like, help, I'm so helpless. That's the kind of vibe that she's giving off, at least in this footage.
This discrimination, glass ceiling, even social constraints on behavior that men have placed on Korean women. So it may look like Hanni is much freer and getting the red carpet rolled out, but that is an unfortunate aspect of the people who want the cookies. Whereas now if you look at the CEO, that looks like a woman who has had to fight her way in an environment where men were devaluing her because of the cookie. So when that model was talking about the walk, what I saw there were so many conflicting things, which is how that word is used, so conflicting. The word in Korean, sangyeon, that's usually in a technical sense referring to a woman who is acting out of place, out of line. You're not supposed to be here. You're acting too bold. You're not being like, demure and mindful. And it's a derogatory way to kind of keep women in line. So on the one hand, yes, it could be bold. I'm a rule breaker. But on the other hand, in that walk as well, what I saw is how do you embody this source of strength and weakness? Because the carrier of the cookie knows that as much of it can be a source of strength and weakness, life and death, use and abuse, treasure and trash. You can't ignore the cookie, but it really does show then on the person when the cookie is always a liability. Will you abuse it for short-term gain, or will you lock it up and be resented for it? But
Basically,
it really does show how you know how to carry it as a burden, or perhaps find a way to use that kind of like weight on your back to your advantage. You don't lead with it, but you hide it so that people can focus on your true talents, ability, work, and just being a person. So I think we did see two very different cookie walks into that courtroom. We saw two very different cookie performances in the hearing room, I should say. And it reflects, I believe, on the character of both of them. Hanni walks in like she invented the Mugler walk, but she's surrounded by these musty bunny uncles who seem like they last dry cleaned their suits in 2023. Why does that matter? Because if it weren't for her cookie, let's be real, would it have happened like this? Even with her abilities as an idol, if it weren't for the cookie aspect of the idol, would it really look like that for her?
No.
Why is she using her cookie that way, and why is she allowing her cookie to be used that way? Not very good. Contrast the CEO. She looks like a badass despite all of the attacks she's probably had throughout her life because of her cookie. Not just because of who she is as a person, but simply because of a cookie. And so I think she looks like she's made a month of Sundays out of a see you next Tuesday. So if you want the technical summary of the end and why I think it did not work, these bunny uncles and auntie in the National Assembly failed in their attempt to smear Hybe, smear the CEO, and try to run a con and build up public opinion. I think they failed. Technically, what was the National Assembly strategy? Because you might not have seen this. What they were trying to do is to get on the books, on the records of workplace conduct violation against Hybe. The reason why they failed is that the laws that the National Assembly members are supposed to fix worked against them in this situation. Hanni is not a Hybe employee, but the National Assembly people were trying to get the CEO to try to say something that would equate Hanni as a Hybe employee. Didn't work. She's not even an employee of a door. She's literally just a freelancer. And so the laws really only protect employees in Korea. And so there is a discussion generally still kind of forming
she
to
is
try to increase
considered
worker
freelancer.
protections against
She is
people
a
who are
freelancer.
not permanent employees, people who are like freelancers. And that is something the National
have a
Assembly has to
short-term
take care
contract.
of. That is a failing of the National Assembly and lawmakers when it comes to protecting people like Hanni. They're like, oh, well, Hive should do a better job protecting. But really, it's the law and the National Assembly members who have failed. Second, they also tried to link the death of an employee allegedly from overwork.
Okay, let's stop here because I have enough of the lagging. So part 2 is coming soon and we will see how this story ends in the assembly.